What an afternoon. I mean, you might be familiar with the first phrase in the soundtrack for the movie Love Story. Where do I begin? And I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't also know where to end when it comes to the richness of all the ideas and eloquent, say, challenges that we have been discussing this afternoon. I think it was wonderful that you, Tiffany and Steve and others, you came with this idea of what is that you as an audience take away with you from this afternoon. Actually, I did the same thing last night, writing down what is that I hope to take away from this. And of course, as you already indicated, Tina and I have been writing like mad, I believe. Firstly, because it was my assignment to try to wrap up something, but Tina was very much inspired, I believe, as well by all the things that have been discussed through these three panels. What did I write down? And it might not come as a surprise to you, but it's certainly reflected here and there in the slides as well. Firstly, before I do so, a big thank you to all speakers and to the organization as well, excluding myself, but certainly my team, but also Sonova and others here. All speakers very much appreciated what you did this afternoon. Very inspirational. So what did I take home for now? And I'm sure it's far from complete, but it might be that's something that you recognize as well. We need each other to enhance the local and global community's awareness of the importance of marine conservation. This means that we occasionally have to step over our own shadows and join the collective, whatever that collective might be. That could be political, that could be educational, it could be academic, it could be museums, it could be a combination of all these different elements combined. To join the collective to create a stronger voice. A stronger voice to whom? Well, to decision makers, to the community, to other colleagues who may not have been that much aware of the need to think about marine conservation. I think that's one thing that I take home. Secondly, very much connected to this one, there is willingness amongst the various participants to continue and intensify the cross-sector efforts in marine conservation. I mean, it might not come as a surprise to you, but for me it's wonderful to realize when you listen to the various speakers, there's so much dynamics, there's so much energy and synergy are very close to each other. It's just the step of combining that energy and bring it together. And there is willingness to do so, and I think that's a very positive element. We need our important stakeholders, politically, financially, to support objectives in financial and political terms. And I'm delighted to see that some of the audiences do represent political and financial supporters and stakeholders. And maybe it's also something to continue to strive for next Harbour Circles. See if it could be even more diversified than it already is. Fourthly, I only have 9 points, so we're almost there. Fourthly, the unlimited opportunities when science and storytelling are combined. I think that might address one of the elements that was brought to the fore here as well. It's all fine and dandy to think about things, to do research, to publish, to be a museum and have your doors occasionally open. But how do you really connect with that community? And how do you present the results of your endeavors to wider audiences? Well, that's partly because of through collaboration, but it's also trying, I guess, to find the right partner for the right time. For the right message and for the right project. And I think that may have been addressed in panel number 1, where we talked about this matrix. And do we really know from each other what it is that we do, or what it is that we envision for the near future? Because if that's the case, it's massive. We already are way ahead of ourselves when it comes to open communication and seeing opportunities for further dialogue and creating that connection with communities. So I think there's unlimited opportunities, as Maria indicated, and you have already been quoted, Maria, but I think it was such a fantastic phrase, science as a foundation, storytelling as superpower. And you know, I'm in academics as well, so don't get me wrongly here. It's fantastic what's happening at universities, but if you do this to publish your article that might be read by 50, 100, if you're lucky, maybe 250 peers across the world, that's fantastic, but we still have 8 billion people who don't know about it. And if we can combine that particular element of science and all the phenomenal research and results that are being achieved, and turn this into the storytelling that we as museums, that you as visualization, people who visualize the stories through imagery, films, immersive projects, Victor. It's crucial that we continue to find that dialogue, because we all have our own instruments and tools to connect with our audiences. If we can align these tools, if we can bring them together, wow, that's a phenomenal opportunity there as well for further enhancement. Number 5, what I really found very interesting, and one of the people in the audience mentioned this, I believe, that the Hong Kong Ocean has an image problem. It's a living asset. I think that idea of having an image problem is something that we really need to address. And not only us here in the audience, but for instance, the tourism board as well. I really feel that lots of the things that we've discussed today should be brought to the tourism board, not only to inform people within the Hong Kong area, but also these other 8 billion people, I still use that number, waiting to come to Hong Kong. What is it that makes Hong Kong so terrific? And when you see the new movie that the tourism board has created, there's a lot of dancing. That's fantastic. People seem to be very happy. But there's not that much ocean or coastal stuff. And we only have 263 islands, right? And about 1,000 kilometers of coastline. So why would we care? No, seriously, of course, it should be there. And it isn't. So I think there is a bit of a problem there, but still a wonderful opportunity to improve. Number 7, kids are the future. We knew this from the outset. Before this afternoon, we'll continue to know this even if we wouldn't be here this afternoon, but I think I want to stress this again. Kids are the future. So we need to connect with kids and create fantastic programs that really makes them thrilled, enthusiastic. Like Natalie, I don't know what age you had when you met Miss Lee, but it stuck to you for the rest of your life. I'm sure for the rest of your life. Certainly over the last years, but certainly for the rest of your life as well. And if we, individually, but also collectively, can find, if I may say so, children like Natalie at that time, but the kids of today, to inspire them that way, what a phenomenal feeling this will give, not only to you, I'm sure, but also to the children who are part of that new story. Number 8, all projects along the waterfront should focus on ecology. I think it was you who said such a thing. It also relates to what Gray mentioned. What can we do? How can we learn from nature? How can we learn from Mother Earth? And how can we reflect what it is that we have learned in the visualization, among other things, via architecture? Something that came to my mind is biomimicry. In airspace, for instance, the shields of flies are being scrutinized because they're so strong that NASA uses that sort of structure for their spaceships, or whatever you want to call it. Although there's only one spaceship, that's Spaceship Earth. I love that expression, Natalie. We'll keep that in mind. We're all crew members on Spaceship Earth. And lastly, but finally, of course, not the final one. Keep vision, be persistent, be patient. Vincent Ng. And I think that might relate to the work that we do and the, combinations, the partnerships that we try to seek and establish and improve on as well. Keep vision, be persistent, be patient. And remember the words of Dr. Sylvia Earle, no blue, no green, no water, no life. So it does matter what we do for us, but also for future generations. And on that note, and still having Paul Hawken's recent book in my mind, Regeneration, he, in a sense, he indicates there is still hope. There's not much, but there is still hope. This generation, and maybe a few years after the current generation, can still make that change. And I think that's the hope that you could see in the songs, in the song that was pictured here as well, with a number of phrases indicating, there is a future. Well, if we stick to that idea, don't be frustrated, be persistent, continue to do the great work that we do, but really try to establish these partnerships and connect with larger audiences. And as I indicated before, Hong Kong Maritime Museum would love to be that place, or one of the places, not the place, but one of the places where you can create that synergy and connect with community. If we can continue to do this all together, there is hope for all of us, and there's hope for Hong Kong and the universe, I would say. So on that note, thank you very much indeed for being here this afternoon and for being so highly inspirational. I know that I won't sleep tonight. Maybe some of you know that you will sleep tonight. I certainly hope so for you. But this was very inspirational for me. So I'm sorry for all the other ideas that I didn't mention in my wrap-up, but that's life. So you take care. I think there's a network, coffee, drinks, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.